Keanu Reeves stood at the small, quiet street corner, a place he had not visited in many years. The early morning air was cold, and a soft mist moved along the ground. He kept his hands in his pockets, head lowered, as if he was trying to gather the courage to face something that lived deep inside his heart. This was the place where he once met someone who changed his life forever. And even though the world saw him as a calm and gentle actor, on the inside there were memories that still held a deep ache. This was where he met Sandra Bullock for the very first time. Before fame made their names echo everywhere, before cameras, before rumors, before silence, he came back today because life had grown heavy again. Sometimes when the world gets too loud, people return to where something pure once started. Maybe to remember who they were, maybe to feel something real again. Keanu was that kind of soul, quiet, warm, searching. The street looked almost the same. An old bakery still stood near the corner, though the sign had faded. The benches looked older, the trees had grown taller, and for a moment, Keanu felt like time had stopped just to let him breathe. He sat down slowly, placing himself on the same old wooden bench where they once laughed together. He remembered her smile, soft, honest. He remembered how she listened, how she understood, even when he did not speak much. With her, silence never felt empty. It felt safe. But life moved the way it always does. Careers, distance, timing that came too early and too late at the same time. People always wondered if Keanu and Sandra loved each other. The truth was simple but painful. They did, but neither of them said it. Both were afraid of losing the friendship that felt like home. So they smiled, they joked, they stayed close, and they walked separate roads. Keanu closed his eyes. The memories felt like warm light and quiet sorrow woven together. He came here to let go of something, or maybe to hold on to something. He was not sure. Then he heard soft footsteps. His heart paused. He did not look up right away. He did not want to assume. But something in the air shifted, familiar, gentle, like the past softly calling his name. When he finally lifted his head, his breath caught in his chest. There she was. Sandra Bullock stood only a few steps away from him, wearing a simple coat, hair tied loosely, her eyes full of the same warmth he remembered. She looked surprised, like she also came here searching for something she could not describe. For a moment, neither of them spoke. It was silence, but not the heavy kind. It was silence that understood. Keanu whispered softly, almost like the words could break the world if spoken too loud. "You came back too." Sandra nodded slowly. "I never really left." Keanu. Their eyes held everything they never said. The morning light rested softly on their faces, and time felt slow, like it respected their reunion. Keanu and Sandra stood there, both unsure of what to say next. Sometimes when feelings run too deep, words feel too small. They both had so many questions, yet none of them felt urgent. All that mattered was that they were standing in the same place again, breathing the same air, feeling the same silent pull of something unfinished. Keanu gently motioned toward the bench, and they sat down side by side. Their shoulders did not touch, but there was a closeness, a warmth that did not need contact. They both stared ahead, looking at the street that carried old memories in every corner. Sandra spoke first, her voice quiet. "I come here sometimes," she said, "when I feel lost." Keanu listened. He always listened. It was one of the things she loved most about him. He never listened just to reply. He listened to understand, to feel, to honor the moment. He nodded slowly. "I came today because something in me felt heavy again," he whispered. "I thought maybe the past could help me breathe." Sandra looked at him, and her eyes softened. She knew his pain. The world admired Keanu for his kindness, his strength, his calm. But not everyone knew how much he had suffered. Loss, grief, loneliness. People who meant everything to him were taken too soon. He carried those wounds quietly, never asking the world to feel sorry for him. He simply kept loving, kept giving, kept trying to be gentle in a world that was often cruel. Sandra reached out and placed her hand on his, slowly, without forcing. He did not pull away. His hand was warm, and hers was steady. "You do not have to carry everything alone," she whispered. Keanu looked down, emotions gathering like quiet storms behind his eyes. "I know," he said, but his voice trembled a little. I just never wanted to be a burden. Sandra's hand tightened slightly. You never were. You never will be. A soft breeze moved through the trees, and leaves fluttered like small memories falling around them. They sat that way for a long time, holding hands, breathing. Then Sandra took a slow breath, as if preparing herself. There's something I never told you, she said. Keanu turned to her fully for the first time since they sat down. His eyes searched hers gently, without pressure. You can tell me anything, he said. She swallowed. Her eyes glistened, not with sadness, but with something deeper. When we first worked together, she said softly, I fell in love with you. The world around them seemed to stop. Keanu did not move. He did not blink. The words he had longed to hear for years now sat between them, fragile, painful, beautiful. Sandra looked down. I was afraid, she continued. Afraid we would ruin something precious. Keanu's voice was barely above a whisper. I felt the same. Their hands remained intertwined. Two hearts that once loved in silence were finally speaking. The confession hung in the air like a trembling note from a violin. Neither of them moved at first. It was as if speaking their hearts out loud changed something in the world around them. It made the air warmer, the ground steadier, and the silence held a new meaning. Their hands were still joined, and there was no need to let go. Keanu took a slow breath. I thought about telling you back then, he said quietly. So many times, but every time I tried, the words stayed in my throat. Sandra looked at him with soft understanding. I think we were both afraid of the same thing, she said. Losing each other. Keanu nodded. I could not risk losing the one person who made me feel understood. The street around them began to fill with the faint sounds of morning life. A car passing, a dog barking somewhere, the rustle of leaves overhead. Yet for them, it still felt like the world was paused just long enough for their hearts to speak. Sandra let out a small breath, as if releasing years of quiet longing. So here we are, she said with a gentle smile. Older, softer, maybe wiser. Keanu gave a small smile back. And still here, he replied. But life was never simple. Sandra looked down at her hands for a moment, her expression thoughtful. Keanu noticed the subtle shift in her eyes. Something was weighing on her, something she had not said yet. He waited. He always waited with patience. Finally, she spoke. Keanu, she whispered, there is something I need to tell you. Something important. His gaze softened, but his heart tightened slightly. I am listening. Sandra took a slow breath, steadying herself. Over the years, I kept coming back here because this place reminded me of hope. And I needed hope, especially during the harder times. But I also came here because, she paused, her voice trembling softly, because I never truly let go of you. Keanu's chest ached, not from pain, but from love that had waited too long without being named. He brushed his thumb softly against her hand, encouraging her silently. She continued, her voice quiet and raw. But life kept moving. We had different worlds to live in, different battles to fight, and when I thought the door between us had closed for good, I began seeing someone. There it was, not a betrayal, not a wound, but reality. Keanu nodded slowly. He did not pull his hand away. You do not owe me an apology, he said softly. Life happens. People try their best. We loved quietly, and that silence had consequences. Sandra's eyes shimmered, filled with emotion. I just did not want you to think that my feelings were ever small. They were not. Keanu's voice was steady, but something deep flickered beneath it. Do you love him? He asked gently. Her eyes did not look away. I do, she answered. The words hit softly. Not like a strike, but like a slow, deep echo. Keanu nodded, accepting it. Even as part of him ached. But then Sandra spoke again, voice trembling with something heavy, something unfinished. But there is more. Keanu, the wind stilled. The moment held. Something important was coming. Sandra's voice softened, but the weight of her words filled the quiet space between them. Keanu watched her with calm patience, though inside something tender and fragile shifted. The truth was already deep in his chest. Whatever she was about to say would change everything. Yet he did not fear it. Love, real love, is not afraid of truth. Sandra looked at the bakery window across the street instead of at him. Her eyes seemed to be searching for a memory, or maybe courage. He passed away, she said softly. Keanu's single quotes' breath caught. His fingers gently tightened around her hand, not out of shock, but support. He did not ask how. He did not ask when. His heart simply understood pain when it saw it. Sandra continued, her voice calm but deeply sad. It happened last year, quietly, no big headlines, no public drama, just life taking someone too soon. She paused. He was kind, steady. He treated me with care, and I loved him. But even then, even in that love, there was a small quiet space inside me that still belonged to someone else. Keanu lowered his gaze, not because he was hurt, but because he felt the depth of what she carried. Grief mixed with love is a heavy thing. I am sorry, he whispered. Sandra shook her head. You do not have to be. Grief is part of life, but it changes you. It makes you look at everything differently. She finally looked back at him. After he was gone, I asked myself who I wished was sitting beside me when I cried. The answer was you, and that scared me. Keanu felt something warm rising in his chest. Not joy, not sadness, but recognition, the kind that comes when two souls finally meet without walls. He spoke with quiet honesty. I have lost people too, more than I ever knew how to bear. Sometimes it feels like the world takes first and explains later. Sandra nodded. She understood him in a way few ever did. I think we both learned to love through pain, she said. For a while, they did not speak. They simply breathed together. The world around them moved softly, like everything understood they needed space to feel. Keanu finally broke the silence, but gently. So why did you come today? What brought you back here, to this exact moment? Sandra's eyes glistened, not with sorrow, but with courage. Because I realized something, she whispered. Life does not give second chances often, and I did not want to spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if we had spoken our hearts sooner. Keanu felt his chest tighten, not with pain, but with hope. But then, Sandra's expression changed again. She hesitated. Keanu, she said slowly, her heartbeat almost audible in her voice. I did not come alone. Keanu's eyes lifted. Puzzled. Sandra stood up and stepped a little to the side. From behind the tree, a small girl appeared, maybe 8 years old, with soft brown hair and gentle eyes that somehow looked familiar. She held a small paper flower in her hand. Sandra whispered, Keanu. This is Lily. The little girl looked up at him with quiet, innocent trust. And Keanu felt the world shift beneath his feet. Keanu stared at the little girl, his heartbeat slowing, then speeding, then settling into something he could not name. Lily stood quietly, holding the paper flower as if it was something precious. She did not look afraid. She did not look shy. She simply existed in that gentle, open way children do when they sense kindness. Sandra watched Keanu carefully, her expression soft but uncertain. She knew this moment could open doors or build walls. She had spent many nights wondering how it would unfold. Now it was finally here. Keanu lowered himself to the girl's height, moving slowly so he would not overwhelm her. He smiled, small and warm. Hello, Lily, he said softly. That is a beautiful flower you have. Lily blinked and stepped forward. She extended her hand, offering the paper flower to him without hesitation. I made it, she said. For you. Keanu felt something tighten in his chest. He took the flower with gentle hands, as if it were made of something fragile and full of meaning. Thank you, he whispered. It is the most beautiful gift I have received in a very long time. Lily smiled, a real, bright smile, the kind that lights a moment from the inside. Sandra looked at them, her heart trembling. She took a slow breath and sat down again on the bench. Keanu stood and joined her, while Lily sat between them, swinging her legs softly. The quiet settled again, but it was different now. It wasn't the silence of waiting. It was the silence of something new forming. Keanu looked at Sandra, his voice steady and warm. You did not tell me you had a child. Sandra nodded, her eyes holding both love and fear. I know. I wanted to protect her. I didn't want her to be brought into the spotlight or become part of any rumors. She deserves peace. Keanu nodded. He respected that deeply. After a moment, his voice softened even more. Was he her father? Sandra lowered her head. No, she whispered. Lily was born before him. I raised her on my own for a while. She never had a father figure. I never wanted to bring someone into her life unless it was someone who understood love the way she deserved. Keanu looked at Lily, who was now curiously touching the shape of the benchwood with her fingers. He saw her gentle nature, her softness, her spark. His voice came quiet, but full. "She is beautiful," he said. "She has your strength." Sandra looked at him then, deeply. "Keanu," she whispered, "I did not bring her here to ask anything of you. Not responsibility, not promises, not anything. I just wanted you to see the part of my heart I never shared with the world." Keanu's eyes softened with something almost like awe. "Thank you," he said, "for trusting me with this." Sandra's breath shakily eased out. Then Lily, with the simple courage of a child, spoke. "Mommy talks about you sometimes," she said. "She said your heart is kind." Keanu's eyes stung, not from pain, but from something healing. He looked at Sandra. She looked back. Something unspoken passed between them. Not romance, not obligation, something deeper, connection. And then, before words could form, a sudden voice called out from across the street. It was urgent, familiar. Someone who knew Sandra. Someone who was not supposed to see this moment. Asterisk. The voice calling across the street broke the fragile stillness. Keanu, Sandra, and Lily turned toward the sound. A woman hurried toward them, her footsteps quick but not panicked. She was someone who knew Sandra well, maybe a friend or assistant. Her expression held surprise, but also worry. She slowed as she reached them, looking between the three of them, taking in the scene quietly. Respectfully, "I am sorry," she said softly to Sandra, almost whispering. "They are asking for you at the studio. They need to confirm schedules. I did not know you were here." Sandra nodded gently. Her friend understood far more than she said aloud. She glanced at Lily, then at Keanu, and there was a question in her eyes. Not a question of romance, not of decisions or promises, but of presence, of whether he would stay in this moment now that the world was knocking again. Keanu looked at Lily first. Her small hand had found his without him noticing. She held it lightly, not claiming, just connecting. Children always know who is safe, who is gentle, who is real. He squeezed her hand softly, then looked at Sandra. "I am not going anywhere," he said. Something inside Sandra eased, as if she had been holding her breath for years and finally exhaled. They did not need more words than that. Sandra's single quotes as friend waited at a distance, giving space. Sandra turned to Lily and brushed her hair back tenderly. "Sweetheart, we have to go for a little while," she said softly. "But we will come back." Lily nodded, trusting completely. She let go of Keanu's hand slowly, almost reluctantly, then looked up at him with a small hopeful smile. "Will you be here when we come back?" she asked. Keanu leaned down again so their eyes were level. "Yes," he whispered. "I will be right here." The simplicity of the promise made the moment sacred. Sandra felt her heart move in a way she had not felt in years. She nodded to Keanu, not goodbye, but something softer. "I will return soon," she said. He answered with a quiet warmth. "I know." As Sandra and Lily walked away, Keanu watched them, his hands resting inside his jacket pockets again, but his heart no longer heavy. The street did not feel like a memory anymore. It felt like a beginning. He sat on the bench again, the same one where love once stayed silent. But now, the silence was different. It was not the silence of things left unsaid. It was the silence of patience, of hope, of time opening gently instead of closing. He thought about his life, the loss he had carried, the quiet griefs that shaped him, and he realized something simple and pure. Sometimes, love is not about timing. It is about returning and finding the other person waiting. A few leaves drifted from the tree above, landing near his feet. The morning light warmed the bench. People passed, unaware of the quiet shift happening inside him. He looked down at the paper flower Lily had given him, fragile, handmade, honest. Just like love. Keanu smiled. The story was not finished. It was just beginning.